Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. I've officially moved to my new location, and as you can tell, both cars are here. Everything's been good here so far, and today's a bit of a special day because today we're going to get this tuned at a shop here locally. As far as that shop, I'll discuss the specifics and all that stuff later as a video. You guys will see as the video progresses, but I really don't know how things are going to go, so that's why I'd rather just wait and see how it goes and then discuss it afterwards and why I chose this shop specifically. Anyways, as far as the Evo is, as you can tell, the same. As far as the way it runs a little bit rough right now. I don't know if it has to do with the change in humidity, but the car has been running really rich and it does backfire quite a bit. So we're looking to get that situated, as well as hopefully make some power on this thing, because I've spent all this money on this Haltech stuff and yeah, I haven't seen anything with it. It's been over 2 months now. As far as any changes, the only thing that we're most likely going to change is going to be the boost controller, and I have this right here. For the record, I did ask the last tuner if I should swap this, and he said no, so I went ahead and listened. But this is something I've been wanting to change for a long time, just because I've had this one on there for a while. The last tuner seems to believe that that's the issue that caused all of the stuff. So he thinks that basically I drove the car on it to the shop and everything was fine there. He obviously had issues with it. He managed to fix them, and then the boost controller went bad on the way home. That's his theory. We're gonna see today. We're gonna get to the bottom of it today. Guys, we made it. Here we are. Name of the shop is Corr Performance Tuning. These guys have been around for a long time. They're in Kenner, Louisiana, which is right by the airport. Not a crazy fancy shop, but honestly, all their reviews were all solid, and they seem to do really good work, so I'm hoping for the best. But here we are. So these guys are mainly known for Hondas and Subarus. They don't really do too many Evos, just because from what they told me, Evos are pretty rare, especially nowadays. But they did do an Evo recently on a Haltech 2500 a few months ago, so it's not like they don't have experience with it. And like I stated before, this is a Haltech certified shop, and I'll touch more on that later. I called it. All right, guys, not sure if you can hear me well. I've got the guys over there doing their thing, and it is now for sure that the car was being told to run the way that it was. So the first run that you guys saw was it was a 21-pound run. That is not wastegate boost. 21 pounds is not it. So the second run that you see, that at 17 pounds, that's wastegate. So once again, it's been confirmed that the car is being told to do this by the last tuner. So right now the guys are kind of running around trying to figure out and undo anything he's done. But yeah, they basically confirmed that everything that he basically did on this Haltech is jacked up. So you guys see how it's bouncing up and down. This is very similar to issues that we ran with the last tuner. Zach, the guy that just spoke, he figured this out before the car was even, I even opened the package. So you guys saw that I had that Haltech boost controller, and I bought a new one just in case. Check this out. So as you can see, we're not internally wastegated anymore. And this is the same boost controller I've had. So low boost, it should be set up this way. High boost, it should be set up this way. Check it out. So as you can see, that nipple's open, and it shouldn't be. So it's hard to hear me in the video because of the fans, but I want to make sure you guys understand what's going on here. So because the boost controller was routed incorrectly, anytime you try to go high boost, and high boost, I guess for Haltech would be anything above 25 pounds, the Haltech would basically pull the boost down, and that's why it continued to bunny hop the way that it did. So you would try to make more boost, and the Haltech would say, no, bring it back down, and so on and so forth. I don't necessarily blame this on the tuner, the last tuner that is. I would have figured it out had I had the actual Haltech boost controller, because it came with the actual instruction. However, this proves once again that this guy is not qualified to be working on Haltech, just because any experienced Haltech tuner would know the way the boost controller basically is supposed to be routed. So what the last tuner did is, keep in mind, the bunny hopping started around 25 pounds of boost. He kept the car as close to that threshold as he possibly could in order to make believe like the car was okay, when in actuality, the problem was never fixed. And he basically just made it look like something that it wasn't. All right, guys, we're still here, and we're looking through a lot of stuff. Zach, the tuner over here, he's found so much shit that has been done incorrectly, and right now he was working on idle. And to make a long story short, there's just a lot of idle issues. There's a lot of stuff that was skipped over and rushed.
Things that were there that shouldn't have been there, and things that were not there that shouldn't be there. That's basically what it came down to.
Did you want to be on camera? You mind?
I don't care.
Okay. I mean,
I don't care.
Say less. Go ahead, man.
It's a really simple thing. Haltech actually has a base map made for these cars. You can actually buy the whole thing, and if you read the instruction manual, it tells you you start off with this base map. But come to find out, is the base map that's on this car is the Elite 2500 default. So when we look at certain things like the wiring for the idle air control valve, it's not correct. It's actually the wiring pinouts, the way it works is wrong. What's happening right now in the car, whether you have it plugged up or unplugged, the idle air control valve, it's wide open the whole time. We have everything shut. Throttle body plate, the throttle plate is 100% closed. The idle adjustment screw is all the way closed, and the car is still revving at around 1,000 RPM at idle. Technically, it should just die every time we crank it up, but that's not what's happening right now. So we're trying to get the idle correct to stop surging issues, so we actually have control over it. Some tuners care for it, some tuners don't. The idle air control valve, in my opinion, I like having it shut when we have boost, but in his case, the idle air control valve is wide open. So when boost is going through, it's going through the throttle plate and it's going through the IACV. I don't prefer that. So we're taking care of minor issues. We're coming to find out there's a few other things, a little bit of vacuum plumbing. We found a nut that was missing, but it had no effect on it. Maybe in boost, but not in what we're trying to figure out right now. So we're just gonna keep trucking along and get it fixed.
Alright guys, welcome back. It's the next day, and we're having to do some mechanical work on the Evo. We're going to go ahead and switch to the boost controller that I bought from Haltech, and the reason for that is, if you notice, there's a huge difference in the actual fitting size. Look at the diameter difference. So we're switching, even though I've had this for forever, there's really nothing wrong with it. It's you guys can see it. it's like night and day difference. We're having to switch out the lines as well. And then additionally, just like I stated yesterday, we're gonna route it a little bit different. Additionally to that, we ended up cutting this, and we're gonna use the factory location just so we don't have to route it to the actual ECU. We could just use the factory location. That's why he went ahead and cut the old one and soldered it onto here. All right, guys, day 3, I just showed up. They're already on it. Today's the day. They're gonna try to make power, but these guys are already on the dyno, getting things ready. Just to show you how much power the car's making. That's from there. All right, guys, so that last run, the car was spinning on the dyno, and these are some comparisons. So over here, this is a guy with a FP Red on a stock engine, 6-speed, and full bolt-on. So just to give you an idea how different this dyno is, if you see that squiggling, that's the car spinning on a dyno. So that's his FP Red, and this is mine. The run you guys just saw is the red one. And as you can see, the car is making good power. I know it may not show on this dyno because it's known as a heartbreak dyno, but like the car is moving, and you can see it in the video. So this just goes to show you that, you know, dyno numbers are just dyno numbers. But yeah, that's the difference between my setup and an FP Red. And I do know for a fact an FP Red on a Mustang dyno with full bolt-ons and everything will make low to mid 500s. So we're right where we need to be. guys. So now that everything's good and the car is tuned, I'm a Haltech believer. That's why I'm repping the merch. I was a little bit worried just because we spent all that money and did all that stuff and we weren't getting the results. But now that we are, I'm a believer. Anyways, I wanna make this more about the guys over at Corr Performance for this video and the positives that they were able to do. I will make a separate video on the things that we discovered, and then the kind of like the closing piece to the last ordeal that we dealt with. But shout out to the guys over at Corr Performance, man. Alberto and Zach like knocked it out of the park. The car drives great, and honestly, it was such an eye-opening experience just because the way that I was treated the last time is more what I'm used to. And these guys just prove that, not everybody's like that. So huge shout out to those guys. They really know their stuff. I learned so much over the past few days, man. Zach taught me so much. I didn't even ask for certain things, and he's still like, hey man, come here. Let me show you this. Let me show you that. And they were prepping the car as if somebody else was gonna tune it in the future. So I appreciate that, but they've got a customer for life. Anyways, let's address the elephant in the room, the numbers. So as you guys can see, this dyno reads really, really low. And I did a quick calculation just based off of the first dyno pull over here, and then the last dyno pull that I did on that test pull over North Carolina, where it was like 497 horsepower. So that's the same exact pull, or the same exact tune that you guys saw in North Carolina. It's the same exact map. So 497-ish over there is equivalent to like 360 something on their dyno. As far as dynos go, guys, that's not really the purpose of a dyno. The purpose of a dyno is really to see progress within that specific dyno. So you get a stock car, you dyno it before, and then you make modifications, and then you see how you progress more than anything. Really get caught up with numbers and, oh, this dyno read that, this dyno, that's not really the purpose of a dyno. They're all gonna read different. Even the same dynos, the same brand dynos are gonna read differently just because of the weather and just the way that they are. So keep that in mind. The car does make about the same power. A couple different things that I haven't mentioned. We do make a little bit less power just because Zach didn't want to go any higher on the boost just because of the injector duty cycle. We're pretty much maxed out at 85%. We could go higher, but they don't recommend it. So that's something that was done on the last tune where the injectors were, I don't know the exact duty cycle because homeboy kept everything from me. But all he said is they're maxed out. So I assume they're 95 plus percent, which is something you shouldn't do. Something that Zach taught me as well. So you want to be 80 to 85%, because as weather drops and the temperature drops, the car tends to compensate for that. So the colder it is, the more boost you're going to make. And then not to mention, from what they've seen, if a car makes a certain number on the dyno, it'll make typically a little bit more boost out in the street. So numbers are about the same, about 650-ish. As you guys saw, that the car was slipping on a dyno. So I don't know any 400 horsepower all-wheel drive car that will slip on the dyno. So that's a testament to really the power that the car made. And you guys could see it. You could watch a car on a dyno and see if it's making good power. And as you guys can tell, it is. I did a couple pulls and everything seems fine. We are going to go ahead and do the rolling anti-lag next week, Zach promised, as well as do the street tune, which is something we didn't get to do today. So more stuff to come in the future. Anyways, guys, how I ended up going to this particular shop, I guess I'll go ahead and explain that. So I was checking out a more specific Evo shop in Houston, and which is about 6 hours from where I'm at right now. I was going to trailer the car over there and have them do the stuff, do the tuning. But I was getting kind of negative vibes, and one thing that I told myself was that I'm gonna follow my gut when it comes to this. I'm not gonna be a hostage to my location, and that's one thing. Even though it actually worked out because these guys are relatively close, but customer service was gonna be at the top of my priority. I'm not out here trying to break records. That's not what I do. That's not what I'm chasing. I'm not chasing really. I'm trying to chase perfection with this setup that I have now. Not really to break records and be the fastest guy. So the reasons why I picked this shop is because I was getting bad vibes from the shop that I was gonna go to, and I said screw it, and I decided to go on Haltech's website, and I started looking through all the certified dealers and tuners that Haltech recommends, and there's only actually 2 shops here in Louisiana that Haltech actually recommends, one of them being Corr Performance. And so I checked them out. I checked out their reviews. Reviews are phenomenal. These guys have been around for a very long time, and I actually found a couple older, way older Evo threads where some guys, like there was a guy that was stranded, and Alberto was nice enough to pull over and help him out, and so this guy wrote this like review on him. So that was good. All the reviews were good. The customer service seemed to be good. So I hit him up, and I actually scheduled a kind of like a pre-appointment where I went down there and I talked to him face to face because I wanted to make sure we were on the same page and they understood where I was coming from. So as far as the thing that sealed it for me, believe it or not, I ended up finding their Instagram page, and I saw that they recently worked on an Evo 9 with a Haltech 2500, and that was like recently. That was in the past like 6 months, so that was a good sign. And then I kid you not, I go to their main page of their Instagram, and I see followed by Haltech, and that was like the ceiling like stamp for me, just because you know your stuff when Haltech is following you. They don't follow a lot of people, so that was a big thing for me. So I hit them up, everything went well, and even though these guys are not an Evo specific shop, the reason why I decided to fully go through with it is because Haltech is a universal ECU, and as far as the specifics with the Evo, yeah, those things are still there. However, these combustion engines are pretty much the same. So if you know that universal ECU, chances are you're going to be able to tune it well. So that's that. If I was still on the stock ECU, I would probably go to a more Evo specific shop, just because there's different things that, you know, these cars, when it comes to the stock ECU and Evo scan and all that stuff, you got to know your way around that to be able to loop around and basically get the power out of these cars, and by tricking the computer into thinking that, you know, it's still stockish. So that's the reason. So if you are still on a stock ECU, I honestly recommend that you find a more specific Evo shop. However, follow your gut. That's my advice to you. I know a lot of you like the advice piece. Actually, I created a poll a while back, and 48% of you actually said you wanted more advice on cars. But when it comes to picking the right tuner, that's a big decision. Just weigh all your options and kind of just make a good assessment over everything, and make a determination based off of, you know, the pros and cons that you see. That's my advice to you guys. Try not to be a hostage to your location and think that, you know, just because you're somewhere, if you can travel, obviously do that. But don't be the guy that just goes to the local tuner just because you don't want to basically go anywhere else, unless that tuner, you like them and they're reputable and, you know, you feel comfortable. But that's a big thing for me now in the future. When picking these things, customer service is definitely at the top of the list. But I appreciate you joining me in this journey. Take it easy, and I'm out. Peace.